We are reading Skinny Bones, and this is Chapter 7, Hard-Boiled Egghead. Sometimes I wonder why I even bother to play baseball at all. I hate the uniforms, I can't throw, and I don't like playing right field. Lately I've been giving this a lot of thought, and there's only one thing I can come up with. I play for the Caps. Baseball caps are probably the greatest invention of all time. No matter what you look like, as soon as you put on a baseball cap, you automatically look like a ball player. A real ball player, I mean. Like Bobby Bonds, or Ken Griffey Jr., or Cal Ripken. I'm not kidding. Even my cat looks like a little Cal Ripken with a cap on. Once, just to prove my theory, I did a baseball cap experiment with my grandmother. My grandmother's about 80 years old, but she doesn't look it. She doesn't need a cane or anything, and she only wears glasses when she reads. One of the things I like best about my grandmother is her blue hair. It sort of reminds me of cotton candy. I'm not sure that she really knows it's blue, though. A few months ago at Sunday dinner, she told my mother that she puts a steel gray rinse on it. I started to tell her that it looked more like robin's egg blue, but my mother shoved a roll in my mouth. Anyway, after we finished eating, I snuck up to my room and grabbed my baseball cap. Then I crept up behind my grandmother and put it on her head. Aha! Just as I had always suspected. She was a dead ringer for Tino Martinez. Grandma wasn't a very good sport about it. She yanked my cap off her head and threw it on the floor. Man, was her blue hair ever a mess. Now she looked like Don King, that boxing promoter guy. I tried to help her smooth it, but she swatted my hand away. Not before I noticed the bald spot, though. Right at the top of her head, Grandma had a little bald spot. I offered to let her put my cap on to hide it, but she left the table in a huff. I knew exactly how she felt. My barber, Mr. Peoples, has given me more bald spots than I can even count. I'll never forget the time he made my head look like a cue ball. Looking back, it was probably my own fault, though. As soon as I walked in his shop that day, it was obvious that Mr. Peoples was not in a good mood. And it's a well-known fact that when barbers are feeling down, they give kids funny haircuts to cheer themselves up. That's why I always try to find out how Mr. Peoples is feeling before I sit down in the chair. But on this particular day, it didn't do me any good at all. "Hello, Mr. Peoples," I said pleasantly. "How are you feeling today? Arthritis acting up? Problems with the wife?" Mr. Peoples frowned. "Get in the chair, Alex. I'm tired, my feet hurt, and I'm not in the mood for your jokes." Right away, I started backing out of his shop. "Okie dokie. Well, nice chatting with you, Mr. P. I think I hear my mom calling me from the parking lot. I'll come back another day when your feet are feeling better." Mr. Peoples pointed to the chair. "Sit," he ordered. Mr. Peoples has known me since I was 2, so he feels comfortable bossing me around like that. I hesitated. "I don't know, Mr. Peoples. Are you sure? Are you positive you want me to sit down? Because if you're upset about something, I would be happy to leave you alone to gather your thoughts." This time his face got totally red. "I said sit," he blustered. Nervously, I climbed into the big vinyl seat. A man holding scissors is not a man to mess with. "Well, okay then, Mr. Peoples, but I really don't need a big haircut today. Mostly all I need is a little trim. Just a little bit off the sides, and that's all." Mr. Peoples didn't hear a word I said. He was too busy plugging in his electric clippers. "No, wait, Mr. Peoples," I said quickly. "I really don't think you'll be needing the clippers today. I just need a trim, remember?" His mood wasn't getting better. "Who's the barber here, Alex? You or me?" That's when I decided to be quiet. If there was one thing I didn't want to do, it was to make the guy any grouchier than he already was. Mr. Peoples took his scissors and began snipping at my hair. No, wait. Snipping is the wrong word. The word is hacking. Mr. Peoples started hacking at my hair. "Whoa, you're really going to town there, aren't you, Mr. P? It's getting kind of short, don't you think?" I asked. That's when Mr. Peoples picked up the clippers and began buzzing all around the back of my head. Before I had a chance to protest, he was already heading up toward my left ear. Then all of a sudden he stopped cold. "Whoopsie," he said. My stomach turned over inside of me. Of all the words you don't ever want to hear your barber say, whoopsie is right at the top of the list. Whoopsie? Did you say whoopsie, Mr. Peoples? Whoopsie is as in a mistake has just occurred up there? I looked in the mirror and turned my head. That's when I saw the whoopsie. It was a large, round, bald spot right over my left ear. Mr. Peoples brushed the area lightly with his fingers. Looks like this haircut might be a little bit shorter than you wanted it, Alex, but at least it will be nice and cool for the summer. My eyes opened wide. The summer? I said. The summer? This is March, Mr. Peoples. The summer's still months away. Mr. Peoples nudged me with his elbow and grinned. That's my point, get it? Even months from now, this haircut will still be nice and cool. He began to chuckle. Already he had cheered himself up a ton. He started the clippers again. More? I asked, feeling sick. Oh, we can't leave her like this, can we? He said, gotta even her up, right? I couldn't stand to look anymore, so I covered my eyes with my hands and waited until he was finished. After circling my head with the clippers about 20 more times, he finally shut them off. Slowly, I opened my eyes. No, it couldn't be. My hair was gone. Totally gone, I mean. I looked like a hard-boiled egg with a face. Mr. Peoples dusted the hair off my neck. Well, what do you think? I could barely speak. What do I think about what? About your hair. What do you think about your hair? He asked cheerfully. Stunned, I gazed at my hair lying all over the floor. I think it looked better on my head. That's what I think. Mr. Peoples chuckled some more as he got the broom to sweep it up. I panicked. No, wait, don't, I shouted. Then I jumped down from the chair and started picking up hair clumps and trying to stick them back on my head. I stuffed the rest in my pocket for later reattachment. Mr. Peoples laughed again. By now, he was a regular jolly old elf. You kill me, boy, he roared. Then he held out his hand for the money. I slapped $10 down on the counter and ran home as fast as I could. My mother met me at the door. Look what that man did to me, I yelled, pointing to my head. He's insane, I tell you, insane! Mom covered her mouth with her hand. It was clear that she was trying not to laugh in my face. The good thing about hair is that it always grows back, she managed to say. Yeah, well, that might be the good thing about hair, Mother, I snapped. But exactly what is the good thing about no hair? Finally, my mother started to lose it and hurried out of the room. No, don't go! I need help here, I yelled. A minute later, she was back wearing sunglasses. I apologize, but the glare coming off your head was blinding, she said with a straight face. Not funny, Mom, I blurted. Not funny! That's when I remembered it. My baseball cap. I had to find my baseball cap. I flew down the hall to my room. Please, please just let it be where I can find it, I prayed. I opened up my closet door. Yes, for once I had remembered to put it back on the hook where it belonged. Quickly, I put it on my head. It fell down over my eyes, but after adjusting the backstrap, I looked in the mirror. Almost at once, I started to settle down. What a relief. I look like a cross between Mark Grace and David Justice. I'm telling you, baseball caps are the invention of the century. Now, if only baseball caps could make me hit home runs like David Justice, everything would be perfect. I guess you could say that hitting a home run is a dream of mine. I don't think it'll ever come true, though. It's pretty hard to hit a home run when all you can do is bunt. Bunt. I've always thought that was such a stupid word. The first time I heard it, I was only about 7. This kid on my baseball team was on his way up to bat, and before he left the bench, he turned around and said to me, I think I'm going to bunt. At first, I had no idea what he was talking about, but whatever it was, it didn't sound good. I sat there, trying to figure it out, and then out of nowhere it clicked. Bunt. Wait a second. I bet it's another word for puke. Oh no, that poor kid's sick and no one knows it but me. Quickly, I got off the bench and ran over to the coach. Coach, I think Danny Petrillo is going to start bunting any minute, I said frantically. The coach nodded calmly. That's okay, Alex, he said. Don't worry about it. I told him to bunt. Okay, now I was really confused. Why in the world would a coach tell one of his players to hurl? Was this some strange baseball rule I hadn't heard of? Were you allowed to throw up and run to first? Was he hoping to catch the other team off guard or something? Oh, geez. I hope he wouldn't tell me to bunt, too. I tugged on his shirt. Listen, Coach, I said, I don't think I could bunt even if I wanted to. I feel very good today. Plus, I haven't eaten dinner yet. The coach looked at me kind of strange and told me to sit down. I went back to the bench and watched the kid at bat. When the ball came, he took his bat and held it sideways in front of him. I figured he was just trying to get it out of the way so he wouldn't bunt on it. And since I was next at bat, I thought this was a very considerate thing to do. But instead of getting sick, the kid took the bat and tapped the ball toward third base. Then he ran as fast as he could and made it to first in plenty of time. "Great!" yelled the coach. "Great bunt, Danny!" I nudged the kid next to me. "I didn't see it. I didn't see him bunt. Did he do it in the grass? Where is it?" "Where is what?" he asked. "You know," I said, "the bunt. Where's the bunt?" "Weren't you watching?" he asked. "He bunted the ball down the third baseline and then ran to first." Suddenly, I knew what a bunt really was. Man, did I ever feel like an idiot. Thank goodness no one ever knew what I had been talking about. Anyway, from that day on, I started working on my bunting. It just seemed like the perfect skill for a kid my size. And now, after 4 years of practice, I'm probably one of the best bunters in the entire Little League. It's not the kind of thing that gets you any respect, but still, it's something. Sometimes Brian helps me practice my bunting at recess. Last week, TJ saw us and came strolling over again. "Bunting is for wimps," he announced loudly. I ignored him. "Any kid with half a muscle can hit the ball for real," he said. Still, I ignored him. "Oops, I forgot. You don't have a muscle, do you, skinny bones?" he said. He grinned meanly. "Hey, I just thought of something. Only runts bunt. Get it? Get it, Alex? I made a poem." That's when I decided to stop ignoring him. Brian tossed me another ball. I held the bat steady until the very last minute. Then I turned it sharply and directed the ball right into TJ's head. "Whoa, sorry, TJ," I said. "Man, it seems that all I've been doing lately is accidentally hitting you with baseballs. Jeez, it's a good thing they keep hitting you in the skull. Otherwise, you could get hurt." For the millionth time in my life, TJ shoved me to the ground again and sat on top of me. He was smirking like crazy. "We'll just see how good you bunt on Saturday, funny guy," he said. For a second, I didn't know what he was talking about. Then all of a sudden I remembered. Saturday was the day when our Little League teams were scheduled to play each other. Wonderful. And now I'd gone and made him mad. I'll close my eyes. "Way to go, Alex. You've done it again."